Courage and perseverance have a magical talisman before which difficulties disappear and obstacles vanish into air. John Quincy Adams, the son of John Adams, and of course, Andrew Jackson, one of my favorite presidents. I remember reading his biography and how much he despised John Quincy Adams. But he was a great lawyer, a great man, grew up in a fascinating time, knew Catherine the Great. When you read the history of all those founding fathers, they were just amazing people, and they leave us so much of a heritage of motivating quotes about sticking with things, fighting through, persevering. And I appreciate you putting up with me every day as I jump into those quotes, because I find those things so powerful. And what does it take to master the markets? Of course, it takes your perseverance. It takes you sticking with it. It takes you fighting like a maniac. Each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes, jump into these charts. And we see stocks are down for the day. Bonds, gold, Bitcoin are up. And let's jump and see what we see, starting with the S&P 500. We are bullish, and our probabilities are really fascinating today. We're up to about a 70% possibility of a bullish up move, $4 to $6 on the S&P 500. Now, you might say, Tom, what are we seeing here? We have things pulling back. We do see things moving down a little bit for the day. We see things sticking up here as they are. And again, as we watch, and again, we may not have things make it, but if we can get above the resistance at $612, we hit that point. That is when I'm looking with good volume, if we have strong volume, to jump in and ride it on up a good $4 to $6. Now, we may or may not get that. Do mark that level down. That might make a good practice trade for you. Again, we're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. We want you to practice trade with us. If we do hit that limit, then of course we look for things to go up. If we see a big pullback and things break below $605 going down, then of course we'd look for a short position because we have broken a real support level there. So we got resistance. If we can move above that $612 mark with decent volume, we're going to see things spring up quite nicely. And let's move on to the NASDAQ 100. And again, all these figures, you don't have to worry about writing them down if you subscribe at chartingwealth.com. The grid, as we call it, which is going to list for you the ticker, the trend, expected move, probability, buy above, sell below, and target range. All that is there in your show notes that we email to you each and every day. So go to chartingwealth.com, sign up for free. No salesman will call. We do not spam or sell that list. We simply send you what you have asked for. Let's jump back into the charts. We're at the Qs. Where are we now? Well, they pulled back exactly the same percentage, 0.42%, so not even 0.5% for the day. But again, banging up on where things had topped out. We see where they lowered down a little bit through it for the day, but we're still hammering along. And again, we're about 75% bullish if we can move above, and it's not too far away, that 538 mark with decent volume. We'd be looking at a $5 to $8 move. And again, if we break below the 530 mark, we're currently at 537.23, then we would expect things to be pulling down. That's when we would, of course, go short either with puts or into something like PSQ, which is the inverse for QQQ. SH is the inverse. And again, there are many inverse funds. Those are just single inverses that we practice trade when we have the markets pull back and head down. But we're bullish, 75% bullish, which is pretty good. Now let's look at where we are when it comes to 20-year U.S. government bonds. We have seen them weak this week. They had reversed for the day, popping up 0.37% after 2 days of down movement. We're still sliding sideways. We are bearish on that, about 65% bearish. And again, our sell point would be if they pull back and go below 87.50, then of course we would be expecting to see things pull back $1.50 to $2.50. And again, this is over the next 5 days. If we see that weakening as we move into Friday with decent volume pulling it back. So we'll keep an eye on things. It's just not managing to hit higher highs. And again, that's about a 65% probability as we see it on TLT. Now let's move on to gold. Look at gold. Gold has just, once it went bullish, it has just taken off. And again, this is a shortened trading week. Looks like nonetheless we'll hit the average level over the course of tomorrow. Where do we see gold? Well, about an 80% probability of it continuing to move up. It doesn't have very far to go at this point. It closed at 270.99. We can kick above the resistance at 271.50. Then you would be looking at a buy point there on a practice trade. Expect $4 to $7 of upward movement with a target around 275, 278 before you're going to hit stronger resistance again. So watch gold, see if we have the volume, see how it looks on Friday. If it's popping up there, then great. If it doesn't, then of course we'll wait, we'll watch, we'll see. If gold does pull back, but then rebounds and moves back up again, that's fine. We'll take it. Just keep that in mind as we go through Friday and perhaps on into Monday, Tuesday. And of course, we'll be giving you updates as things change, as percentages, probabilities change, and expected moves, buy points, all that. Lastly, we're going to look at where we are with Bitcoin. Now, where are we? We have seen, several weeks of down movement. We've been leveling out, for a few days. It dropped on Tuesday and then started building back up again, pushing through that down line on the half-day chart, sitting right there on it on the 2-day chart. This will finish drawing on Friday. This is the first day of the latest 2-day candle. We're just spinning around, so we are paying close attention to Bitcoin, and we are bullish on Bitcoin, around the 80% probability or so again, if it can clear this hurdle of $28.50. Right now, it is at $27.89. If it pops above that, then we're hoping to see it move on up to perhaps even the $31 level. Now, if it drops below $27, where it's got some resistance now, then of course we would expect it to be going short. And again, I think I've told you guys before, there is a short for Bitcoin if you want to practice trade that. I successfully practice traded that a while back, and I'm trying to remember when it was. I don't remember. And again, when I say going short Bitcoin, this is the inverse. This is the ProShares short inverse. You can see how liquid it is. Look at that, 2 cents apart. That's really decent for an inverse fund. We don't have an inverse fund for you for gold because there's not a liquid one. DGZ is the single inverse on gold, but that's the only one I can find that I would even consider. But even then, it's so illiquid, I wouldn't jump into it. So when I want to short gold, I just do puts. And again, if you want to know about options, become a Patreon member. First thing you get, the only way you'll get our 3-part series, Options Made Simple the Charting Wealth Way, is to be a Patreon supporter. You become one at any of the 3 levels, you'll get it immediately along with my latest book, 3-Wave Trading Advantage, only available to Patreon supporters. And I've got nothing but compliments on that book, and I appreciate all the feedback. That is where we are on Bitcoin, on gold, on 20-year U.S. government bonds, on NASDAQ 100, the tech stocks, and of course the S&P 500. It is always a pleasure coming to you guys. Let me know how you like this bit of a change up in format. And of course, you will see the grid in your show notes. If you are a subscriber, those will be emailed to you. When I say subscriber, that is free, chartingwealth.com. Go there, put in your email address. That list is never spammed, never sold. God bless. All the best as we head into Friday. Get ready to do some practice trading.